I am such a firm believer in trying to become the absolute best version of myself. That does not look like perfection, but it does look like becoming the best version of myself. Because if we are honest, we all have these, what I like to call them, our pluses and our minuses, where we are amazing in this regard, and in this regard, we need work. And I'm such an advocate of, if there's some things that I can work on to become better, then I am willing to do that. And so today I want to talk to you about some of the things that you can do to become the very best version of yourself. So welcome back to my channel, where we have brand new videos that come out here on YouTube every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And so if you love my content talking about business, marketing, making money, and ultimately becoming the best version of yourself, then be sure to subscribe to the channel and then comment down below on this video. That way YouTube loves all the things. So today we're talking about working on becoming the best version of ourselves. And, if I'm honest, when I typically talk about topics like this, people don't seem to enjoy them. Now, I don't get hate from it, but I don't typically get a lot of people saying, yes, I'm doing the work. Yes, I'm doing the work. And I'm not really 100% sure why that is. But it is something that I have noticed, but we're going to talk about it anyway, because I like talking about it, and because I want you to have the best life, and not just a financial life, but the best in every aspect of you and all the things. So when I talk about the best version, it looks like self-improvement. But in order to do self-improvement, you have to first become aware of yourself. So there is that phrase called self-awareness. And so I'm going to actually go on Google and I'm going to type in the words self-awareness. And I'm going to tell you what Google says that self-awareness is. Okay. Now, I talk about this all the time with friends, with my therapists, counselors, and all that. But I'm just going to read to you some of the things I see here on Google. So the first thing it says is being self-aware is all about having an understanding of your own thoughts, feelings, values, beliefs, and actions. It means that you understand who you are, what you want, how you feel, and why you do the things that you do. That part, okay? Who you are, what you want, how you feel, and why you do the things that you do. I'm also going to click down here where it says what it means to have self-awareness. So let me click on that. It's very similar to the first one. It says self-awareness is the ability to focus on yourself and how your actions, thoughts, or emotions do or don't align with your internal standards. Woo, that's a good one. If you're highly self-aware, you can objectively evaluate yourself, manage your emotions, align your behaviors with your values, and understand correctly how others perceive you. That is a whole thing. Let me read that. I love that one. Self-awareness is the ability to focus on yourself and how your actions, thoughts, or emotions do or don't align with your internal standards. If you're highly self-aware, you can objectively evaluate yourself, manage your emotions, align your behaviors with your values, and understand correctly how others perceive you. But I'm going to read you one more thing. It says, what are the 3 types of self-awareness? This is just people searching online, and I just want to tell you what that is. So it says, self-awareness is the knowledge of self in 3 basic areas: cognitive, physical, and emotional. This is the psychological side of things. It is the ability to recognize your own feelings, behaviors, and characteristics. Being self-aware can help you take better care of yourself, have deeper relationships, and live a more fulfilling life. I love that one as well. So here's what I'm saying. If we're going to start this conversation and start the journey of becoming the very best version of ourselves, the first thing we have to do is we have to become self-aware. And what that means is that you can't just go by the surface, but you have to allow yourself to go down this road, an uncovering why you think the way. Well, first of all, how do you think? Why do you think the way that you think? How are you in the different aspects of your being or what have you? Why are you the way that you are? Okay. What do you believe? What and why do you believe what you believe? How do you behave? And why do you behave the way that you do? The truth about answering those questions is it's not pretty. It is not pretty whatsoever. And anybody that tells you that it is lying. It's not. Because here is the perception you have of yourself, good or not so good, whatever. Here's these things that we don't want people to know about us, whatever. And so we present this to the public or whomever. But the truth is that and all the other stuff is us. And when we choose to go into our own closet and open up that door and go, and allow ourselves to start slowly taking things out of the closet, not telling the public and everybody and their mama, but just taking it out of the closet and acknowledging, here is this. This is when we are starting the journey of becoming self-aware. So I will tell you, let me see, how do I not get too expose on myself? But I have been going to therapy for the last 10 years. I've always known about therapy. I always thought that therapy was a good idea, but I never really invested the money in going to therapy. I had read lots of self-development books, like hundreds of books over the years. And so I knew that I was self-aware, but I didn't realize how self-aware I was not, okay? And it wasn't until I started going through the process of divorce. And in that time, I remember going to therapy and I said to her, I don't want to talk about him. I do want to go back to my childhood. I do want to unpack what happened back there, back all that time that led me to be how I am today, that would also cause me to choose a partner like him, right? He's not the devil by any means, but there's something in me that made me choose a partner like him who was not a really good partner. He just wasn't. He may be now, but he was not, dating, engaged, or married. And when we started going down that journey, it was ugly. Oh my goodness, God gracious. And we took it one step at a time. And then I had another therapist, right? Because I left Virginia, and so she couldn't be my therapist anymore. And so I just kept going through therapy. And then I went through a harder therapy called EMDR. That was intense. That one was quite eye-opening, quite lift off in terms of all the things. And that stuff was hard, because it made me really face myself at a quite a deeper level that I didn't even know was possible, to see myself in that way, or to see my mom, my life, my upbringing, my childhood, my decisions, all that stuff. I couldn't see, to the point to where the more that I kept going to therapy, I kept saying to myself, something is wrong. Here is this, because for the longest time I had this way about me and I never thought anything was wrong with it, right? It was just didn't. But the more therapy and the more we kept pulling things out of my closet and the more therapy that I kept doing, I started having this realization, something is wrong. Something is off. But I didn't, whatever. And so I just kept saying something is off, and I'm trying to figure out what it is. And I'm trying to navigate whatever, chemically or whatever, psychologically with me, And I just kept on. I'm just picking. And then slowly God would talk to me about just little things. He wouldn't go all the way there, but little things. And I would just just turn a little key. And then it was he would help me illuminate some things. And then a little bit and a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. And then finally, this one time in therapy, I hear God infiltrate my therapy session. And he says A, B, and C. And I was and that was him. Basically, I've been asking this question, what is wrong? And he finally said this. I wasn't molested or anything like that, but it was a diagnosis, right? And I was it was hard to hear, but it was also liberating. And I was just like, this sucks, but wow. This sucks, but wow. And I just kind of left it there. I didn't really do much with it for a while. And then a couple months later or so, it just kind of pinged on me again. And he was like, hey, remember that thing that I said? I want you to go and research that. And so when I started to research it, I was like, I could see me in the research, how I think, how I behave, all this, how I process. And I was just like, oh my God. And then I kept, like on podcasts, I was like, okay, somebody's got a podcast about this. So I started searching and I started listening to this podcast, and oh my God, it was like such an awakening. I mean, I cried and cried and cried because I knew for so long something was wrong, something was off, and I couldn't figure out what. And so until I figured out what, I couldn't heal. And so then listening to this podcast over and over and over again, finally the psychologist mentioned this book. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go get that book. I'm listening to that. I almost had to pull over to the side of the road to bawl my eyes out because the whole book was me. And I was like, I knew something was wrong. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. And it was like, you know how like you go to the doctor, you keep telling them something is wrong, and they just keep giving you more meds and nothing, everything's fine. And you're like trying, and they're just making you do all this stuff because nobody's believing you or whatever's going on. And then finally they say this. And then, because it's like, one, you got believed. Two, because there's a diagnosis, there's a possibility of a solution to be healed, for healing. And so that was kind of how I felt in that moment. And it has just been, it's been life-changing. Like life-changing. Oh, I can't even describe to you how life-changing it is. I probably will talk about it one day if I write a book years down the line. But like right now, it's between me and Jesus, And it's just been life-giving to like see myself and like allow myself to start going through this process of healing this thing that I knew was wrong for a really, really long time. But the only reason why I could get to this point, because all of that kind of went down late last year, early this year. But the only reason was because I have been choosing to say, I want to be the best version of myself for me, not for a partner, not for the world, not for a podcast, for me. And then other people just get to benefit from my growth, from my journey. Okay. But I had to first acknowledge that I am not perfect and that there are people that can help me see me, and that I want to be my best for me. And then I want to be best for my friends, my family, a potential partner, my team, and all the things. And so I'm saying all this to say, if it is your desire to become the best version of yourself, you have to give yourself the gift of going into that closet and becoming more aware of you. And one of the easiest ways to do that is going to a therapist. I'm telling you, a good therapist. And we invest money in our nails, our hair, food, going out, all this stuff. But like none of that can satisfy what is going on in here. It just cannot satisfy what is going on in here. And I would just admonish you to give yourself that gift of one, going to therapy, and then allowing yourself to unpack the baggage and begin to heal the areas in you so that you can be the best version of yourself. Like I'm telling you, every time like there's these interactions I would have with people and I just couldn't figure out how to navigate certain things. I would always have to ask my best friend, how would you handle this? And how would you handle this? And how would you handle this? But since realizing this thing and listening to these books about it, podcasts about it, they're just giving me all these little tools. So instead of me dependent upon her, now I've got my own tools as I'm navigating, right? Because I used to have this really big fear that the thing that was wrong with me was going to ruin me if I got famous. Now, I'm not somebody who wants to go and get famous. That's not me saying I want to be famous. That is, God has been telling me my whole life, you're going to be extremely influential. A lot of people are going to know you. And I've had the fear that this thing was going to ruin, because I was going to be around so many people and I would be exposed. Okay. So it was just, I just did not want to get there, and being able to go through this process of healing and all this stuff is like helping my fears from not being so afraid of becoming famous. I know it sounds crazy when you kind of hear me say that, but it's kind of like, let me see, like, let's just say somebody has, I don't have, but let's say somebody has a sex addiction and they are so afraid that if they get married, that they're going to cheat on their spouse. Right. And so that person goes through life and refuses to get married. They meet the most amazing partner and they just sabotage it because they know there's a potential that they are going to cheat, and then they're going to break that person's heart and it's going to ruin their life. Right. And so some people go through life just like avoiding the commitment because of that. But a person that goes on the journey of like healing whatever is causing them to use sex as a tool, as a whatever people are using it for, when they go through that journey, then the fear of that they're going to cheat is it goes down, because now they've gotten tools to handle when they have these moments of, I want to go and sleep with someone outside of my person for whatever the gratification is. Now they've got other tools that can help them, give them that same kind of gratification that thing would have given them. I hope that kind of makes sense. So the whole thing of today's episode is, if your desire is to become the best version of yourself, giving yourself the gift of self-awareness, somebody helping you unpack that closet and start taking you on the journey to give you the tools, is going to be your very best thing. Because if you are not allowing yourself to go on that journey, I guarantee you, there are ways that you think, behave, act, all the things that is having a not so great impact with you, your family, your friends, your work, whatever, because it's just these hidden things that you won't deal with because you're not self-aware in that particular regard. Okay. So I know this is kind of a heavy episode, but I want the best for you. I don't want you to just make a bunch of money and all that. I want you to make money, and I want you to be healthy physically, mentally, and emotionally, and the very best you. Okay. If you have any questions about this, go ahead and let me know in the comments. I would love to support you. And thank you so much for watching.